Folks, guys, I'm on the way to a brand new customer. This is a no heat call that just came in. The only thing I know is that the customer said that it's been working fine up until last night, and the gas furnace or the gas heater or whatever the case is just stopped working. I'm almost there now. Let's go take a look. I'll see y'all when I get inside. All right, guys, this is a York 90% furnace, and the customer said he heard the inducer motor run, and that's it. I'm waiting for the time delay to turn off on the thermostat. What is this? A York 120,000 BTU. And guys, when I got here, the inducer was short cycling, but when you take the hose off, it stays on. And once again, I just got back from the truck and I had to get my manometer. But once this turns on, I want to see if this inducer is actually pulling enough inches of water column to close my switch, which is at a 1.2. And this is the only pressure switch here. And instead of having a negative and a positive pressure switch, the negative port is of course coming from my inducer, and the positive port is coming from my burner box. But first things first, we can't condemn the switch until we know that our inducer is strong enough. But let me wait for the time delay to kick off. I'll be back. All right, guys. 2.15. This tells me something's going on with our switch. But guys, before we go further, let me open up this burner box here. I'll be right back. Right. Once again, I gotta wait for the time delay, but the good thing is, since I know that my inducer is pulling 2.0, I know my motor is good. No doubt about it, my pressure switch opened up. I'm trying to figure out why. Now what I got in my hand is the positive side of the switch. I'm getting a good draft on my intake pipe. I wonder if my intake is... I gotta go outside and check my intake, or my exhaust on my intake pipe. I wonder if the intake is clogged up. Now, if this thing runs like this, with the hose off, this tells me that something's going on with the intake pipe. And of course, not ruling out just a bad pressure switch. This furnace does look at least 15 years old. As you can see, I don't know when maintenance got done on this unit, but I'm gonna see something real quick. But let me wait for the time delay again. Hold on. It's starting right now. No, it's not even starting. See what it's doing? That's what it was doing when I first got here. And watch this. You see how it's staying on? I think something's going on with this diaphragm and the switch. Alright guys, what I'm gonna do just to verify this, I'm gonna bypass this switch. I need to make sure that my burner's turned on. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm just verifying that this is the only fault. If I jump this out and my igniter glows, then that at least isolates my pressure switch. But I'll definitely recommend maintenance for sure after we figure out what's going on here. But I can't connect this yet. I gotta make sure the inducer runs. I don't want this thing to throw a pressure switch. Stuck closed fault. But let's wait for water to boil. I'll be right back. Igniter's glowing. This means my switch is finito. Alright, let me bring the customer down here. I'll be right back. Alright guys, this customer wants to get the switch replaced and get maintenance done. Let me get to it. Let me grab another switch off the truck. And what size filter is this? 1625. Alright guys, let's get to it. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got my universal air switch already in. And just like always, I'm going to give you guys a few golden nuggets. Once again, there's nothing wrong with going OEM for pressure switches, but however, if you're in a jam and supply houses are closed, universal air switches work great. Now, you guys heard me say this before, I'll say this again. You cannot correctly diagnose pressure switches and or inducer motors without manometers. Make sure you guys have manometers. Not every single service call that you only have the inducer run is going to guarantee that you have a bad pressure switch. You still have to do your due diligence and make sure that even if the inducer motor is running, make sure it's actually pulling the proper drive. Second thing, with these universal air switches, it's very important that you put in the right color spring. Let me repeat this. This universal air switch can do from 0.10 all the way up to 10.0 inches of water column. Guys, that's a large radius and it works if you use the right spring. These numbers mean nothing unless you know for sure what the old pressure switch was rated for. Now guys, you see what's in my hand? You see that negative 1.2? If I didn't know what this number was, and I was one of those guys that's happy to do pressure switches, and I just put in a random spring, the dangers in putting in the wrong color spring, one or two things will happen. For one, this pressure switch is going to close too soon. If that's the case, it's going to throw your error code. It's going to throw your pressure switch stuck closed fault. Two, if the pressure switch is too big, it may not close at all, and it's going to give you a pressure switch stuck open fault. That's why, for one, make sure you guys are troubleshooting your inducer motors prior to throwing in new pressure switches. And two, if you guys are using these universal switches, they work great. I stand behind these universal switches, granted that you install these correctly. Capiche? Alright guys, moving along here. One more thing that I never personally use myself with these universal switches, I never use the orifices. For you guys that don't know, these are flow restricting orifices. The only way I will say this can help is if you need the switch to delay on make, meaning if you put in, like for instance, a black color spring, and if you don't want the switch to close too soon, you can put one of these in. But guys, at this point, if you're concerned about a delay on make switch, I would probably recommend you going OEM. These switches are pretty black and white. It's almost impossible to mess these up, but I really can't give you a benefit of putting these in unless, like I say, you had a reason to, meaning if the switch is closing too soon. But once again, if the switch is closing too soon, this leads me back to what I was saying earlier. Make sure you got the right color spring. So these are great, but I really can't give you a definitive reason as to why you would need these. But all right guys, what I'm gonna do, that's enough yapping in the trap. Let me put the switch in and I'm gonna get to doing the maintenance. I'll be right back. All right guys, 68 is where we stand with the igniter, which is not bad. And I'm gonna clean this flame sensor. And we put in a new filter as well. The old one wasn't too bad, but it wasn't new either. So I recommend starting with a clean slate with a new filter. But guys, let me wipe some debris off this unit here and let me clean the sensor. I'll be back. All right guys, everything is buttoned back up. And now we wait for a time delay once again. I want to fire this up a few times, make sure all my burners light. The burners didn't look too bad, but due to the age and the rust, I want to make sure that all my burners are firing up here. My inducer is running. Pressure switch is closing. Igniter is going. guys, what we'll do is we'll shoot back out here in the spring for the AC, just to make sure that we're good to go. See, the water heater is newer. That's good. Blower motor just turned on. And there you have it, guys. No heat, bad pressure switch. We went through our Monday morning quarterback procedures to make sure that this is the only failure, and we also did the maintenance. So moving forward, this customer is in good hands. But there you have it. I got to roll. Peace out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.